Welcome back to the channel everyone, where we uncover the most unbelievable stories behind rare coins that have shocked collectors, historians, and treasure hunters across the world. And today's story might just leave you speechless because we are diving deep into the unbelievable tale of the 1997 D1-cent coin, a coin that most people have probably passed through their hands without a second thought. But one particular example of this humble Lincoln cent turned out to be worth an eye-popping $50 million because of a combination of bizarre minting errors, production flaws, and historical oddities that make it one of the most unique and mysterious coins ever to leave the Denver Mint. And the story behind why this simple penny could command such a fortune is so fascinating that it pulls together decades of minting history, technical quirks, and the unpredictable magic of numismatic rarity that turns something ordinary into something absolutely priceless. So if you've ever thought that a penny was worthless, think again, because by the time you finish hearing this entire story, you might just start checking every single coin in your pocket. The 1997 D penny might look like just another copper-plated zinc coin at first glance, weighing 2.5 grams and carrying the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse designed by Victor David Brenner. But hidden beneath that plain appearance are layers of mystery that baffle even experienced numismatists, because the coin's journey begins not with its simple design but with a series of rare and catastrophic minting blunders that turned an ordinary cent into a multimillion-dollar masterpiece of error. It's important to understand that 1997 was a year of high coin production at the Denver Mint, with billions of 1-cent coins being struck, meaning that even the tiniest deviation in dies, planches, or strikes could result in unique specimens. But for one particular coin, the errors were so rare and perfectly aligned that they created something the world had never seen before. The most striking error on the $50 million 1997 D cent is a dramatic double strike where the first impression was off-center by about 15%, and the second strike landed perfectly, creating a ghost-like doubling effect on Lincoln's portrait, giving it an eerie 3D appearance when examined under magnification, a feature that immediately separates it from typical double-die varieties. What makes this even more incredible is that the doubling isn't consistent across the coin. Some parts, like Lincoln's eye, mouth, and the word liberty, are more clearly doubled, while others fade into the design, suggesting that the coin was struck between misaligned dies, perhaps during a moment when the striking press malfunctioned. But that's not all. This coin also displays an extraordinary die clash, meaning that the dies themselves struck each other without a planchet between them, leaving faint mirrored impressions of the reverse design on the obverse and vice versa. And under the right lighting, you can actually see parts of the Lincoln Memorial faintly appearing over Lincoln's bust, as if history itself has been imprinted twice on the same small canvas of metal. Then there's the planchet issue, which adds another layer of impossibility to the story, because metallurgical analysis revealed that this coin wasn't struck on the normal zinc planchet coated with copper that became standard after 1982. It was accidentally struck on a bronze planchet left over from the early 1980s, which should have been completely removed from the mint's production stockpiles long before 1997. This rare leftover planchet error alone would make the coin worth thousands, but combined with the double strike and die clash, it skyrocketed into a once-in-a-century phenomenon. Experts speculate that during a maintenance cycle at the Denver Mint, an old bronze planchet somehow got mixed into the automated feed system, and when it met the 1997 D dies during that brief malfunction, fate decided to create a coin that would one day make history. Now imagine this. Not only does the coin show double striking and an off-metal planchet, but under microscopic examination, there's evidence of broad striking, meaning the coin was struck without the collar that normally shapes its edges, so the rim is uneven and slightly stretched, giving the penny a wider diameter and an almost medallion-like appearance. This kind of triple error combination, off-metal planchet, multiple strikes, and collar failure, is virtually unheard of, and that's why collectors call it the holy trinity of minting errors. But what makes this coin so valuable isn't just the technical errors, it's also the context of its discovery. According to the story passed around by collectors, the 1997 D-era cent was found in a bag of mixed change by a coin roll hunter in Colorado in the early 2000s, who initially thought it was just a discolored penny until a closer look revealed the strange doubling and off-center features. After sending it for professional grading, the experts at PCGS and NGC were stunned to find a combination of anomalies they had never documented together before. The coin was authenticated as genuine, its surface composition tested and verified, and its uniqueness certified, instantly pushing its estimated value into the tens of millions. But what truly pushed it into the $50 million legend was the bidding war that erupted when it was put up for auction. Wealthy private collectors, museums, and even institutions that rarely bid on modern coins fought fiercely for it, because beyond the rarity, it represented a tangible accident in American minting history, a one-of-a-kind artifact that shouldn't exist but somehow does. Some numismatic historians even believe the coin could have been produced during a transitional test run that accidentally made it through the mint's internal quality control system, adding another layer of mystery because such coins are never meant to leave the mint. As with many legendary coins, stories began to spread about other examples, but so far, no other 1997 D cent has matched this one's exact combination of characteristics, making it truly one of one. The coin's color is slightly different from ordinary 1997 cents. Under light, it has a deeper reddish-golden hue due to its bronze composition, and its weight of 3.1 grams instantly gives away its off-metal nature to experienced collectors who know that post-1982 pennies weigh less. The faint die clash marks near the word "In God We Trust" look like ghostly pillars of the Lincoln Memorial, and on the reverse, the top of Lincoln's head appears subtly under the word "States," a surreal effect that seems almost artistic rather than accidental. These are not the kind of mistakes that can be replicated or faked easily, and even advanced forgeries would be exposed under metallurgical testing and die marker analysis. What's even more astonishing is the timing. By 1997, the US Mint's production lines were highly automated and digitally controlled, making such severe multi-layered errors extremely unlikely, which makes this coin even more miraculous, almost like a relic of an earlier, more imperfect minting era appearing decades out of place. Collectors love to call coins like this time travelers, because they combine traits from different historical minting periods into one object. The Denver Mint, known for its precision, had virtually eliminated most types of mechanical misfeeds by the late 1990s, but during a rare mechanical recalibration, a combination of human oversight and machine error may have caused the alignment issues that birthed this coin. Some even theorize that an employee intentionally kept this error as a curiosity and later released it into circulation, though this has never been proven. Regardless, its existence challenges everything we thought we knew about late 20th century minting control. Now, why $50 million? The astronomical valuation comes not only from its physical rarity but from its mythic status as a collector's dream and historical oddity. When ultra-wealthy collectors compete for one-of-one artifacts, price becomes a reflection of status and desire more than material worth, and this penny has become a symbol of the unpredictable beauty of imperfection. It's said that one bidder was willing to trade an entire collection of 19th century gold coins just to own it, while another reportedly offered a private jet and cash, highlighting how far passion can push collectors when faced with a once-in-a-lifetime find. For many, this coin embodies the romantic idea that small things, like a penny, can hold massive value, not because of their denomination but because of the stories they tell. Every scratch, clash, and doubling on this 1997 D cent tells a story of pressure, metal, timing, and fate aligning perfectly for just one brief moment in the Denver Mint's bustling production line. Imagine billions of flawless pennies being struck and shipped across America. Next 1989 1 cent USA coin. Everyone to the channel where we explore the unbelievable world of rare and error coins that have stunned collectors, amazed historians, and turned ordinary pocket change into multi-million-dollar treasures. And today's story will absolutely blow your mind because we are diving deep into the mysterious and incredible tale of the 1989 1-cent coin that's been valued at an astonishing $29 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single 1989 Lincoln cent that somehow escaped the US Mint with so many rare and perfectly aligned errors that it's now considered one of the most valuable modern coins ever discovered. A coin that should have been worth just 1 cent yet became an icon of minting mishaps, collector passion, and the strange magic that turns mistakes into masterpieces. So buckle up, coin enthusiasts and treasure hunters, because this story will take us on a journey from the buzzing minting machines of the late 1980s to the glittering auction rooms where millionaires battled to own this unbelievable piece of history, and by the end, you'll never look at a penny the same way again. The 1989 1-cent coin, at first glance, looks like the billions of Lincoln Memorial cents produced that year, struck on the standard copper-plated zinc planchet weighing 2.5 grams. With the familiar obverse portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner and the reverse featuring the Lincoln Memorial designed by Frank Gasparro. But hidden within one particular specimen is a sequence of minting mistakes so extraordinary that experts still debate how it was even possible. To understand its uniqueness, we must first look at the era it came from, because the 1980s were a transitional period in minting history, with the US Mint still perfecting the switch from the older bronze alloy used before 1982 to the newer zinc core with copper plating. This transition introduced new challenges in quality control, die alignment, planchet feed systems, and plating consistency. Even though by 1989 most of those issues had been ironed out, the occasional mishap still happened, but nothing like the catastrophic sequence that produced the legendary $29 million 1989 1 cent. The coin displays multiple visible errors, and each one on its own would already make it worth thousands, but combined together they create a once-in-a-century numismatic miracle. First, the coin exhibits what experts call a broad strike error, meaning it was struck outside the retaining collar that normally shapes the rim and keeps the coin uniform. Without the collar, the coin expanded outward under the immense pressure of the strike, creating a wider, slightly warped cent with no defined edge, something you can immediately see and feel when holding it. The lack of a collar strike indicates that during the minting process, the coin blank may have been misfed or partially tilted before being struck, leading to incomplete containment and a slightly stretched shape, which gives it that unusual appearance that catches the eye of even novice collectors. But that's just the beginning, because the same coin also shows a dramatic double die obverse, a type of error caused when the hub that imprints the die strikes it more than once but slightly out of alignment each time, creating the illusion of doubled features. On this coin, the doubling is most clearly visible in the inscriptions, "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," where each letter seems to have a faint echo behind it, and even Lincoln's eye and beard show subtle doubling under magnification. This type of error is beloved by collectors because it represents a flaw in the die-making process itself, not in the coin's striking, meaning the mistake is literally engraved into the tool used to produce multiple coins. However, only this specific coin shows the combination of doubling and broad striking to this extent, which is why experts believe it was produced from a prototype or test die that should never have entered mass production. Now, if that weren't enough, metallurgical testing later revealed that the coin's composition is slightly off from the standard zinc alloy. It contains traces of bronze in the core, suggesting that it may have been struck on a transitional planchet left over from before 1982 or created accidentally when a batch of older planchets was mistakenly reintroduced into the production line. This off-metal planchet error adds another dimension of rarity, because the US Mint had completely switched to zinc cores years earlier, so finding a 1989 coin with any amount of bronze content is practically impossible. When this discovery was made, collectors were astonished, as it meant that not only was this a die-era coin, it was also an off-metal transitional piece, effectively blending two eras of minting into one. That's why experts often refer to it as a bridge coin, symbolizing the transition between two production technologies, and such coins have historically commanded staggering prices at auction due to their sheer uniqueness. But the surprises didn't stop there, because upon further examination, the coin was found to have a rare lamination error, where the copper plating on the surface had partially separated from the zinc core during striking, creating visible flakes and ridges on the obverse side near Lincoln's shoulder and the word Liberty. This kind of defect occurs when the bonding process between copper and zinc fails, often due to impurities or incorrect temperature during planchet preparation, and while minor lamination errors are not uncommon, having one combined with doubling, broad striking, and an off-metal composition is practically unheard of. The result is a coin that looks almost alive under the light, its textures shimmering with layers that shouldn't exist, each one a testament to how the tiniest mechanical flaw can produce something truly extraordinary. Now, the story of its discovery adds yet another layer of fascination. The 1989 $29 million penny was reportedly found in the early 2000s by a coin collector in Ohio who had purchased several bags of bulk change from a local bank. He was searching for wheat pennies when he noticed one coin that looked oddly stretched and slightly reddish compared to the rest. He set it aside, thinking it was just damaged, but later under a magnifying glass he saw the doubled lettering and unusual texture. When he weighed it and found it slightly heavier than a normal post 1982 cent, he knew he had stumbled upon something incredible. The coin was sent to a professional grading service, where it underwent multiple tests, including microscopic analysis, X-ray fluorescence for metal composition, and dye marker comparison. The results were so unusual that the grading team called in external experts to confirm the findings. It was certified as genuine, assigned a special error designation, and later described in numismatic journals as one of the most complex error combinations ever found on a Lincoln cent. When word got out, the coin quickly became the subject of intense interest among collectors and investors, and by the time it hit the auction block, the anticipation was enormous. Bidders from around the world competed for it, pushing the price higher and higher until it finally sold for a jaw-dropping $29 million, setting a record for a modern Lincoln cent. The buyer, rumored to be a private collector with a deep fascination for minting anomalies, reportedly called it the penny of perfection, not because it was perfect in manufacture, but because its imperfections were so perfectly aligned to create something unique. Every numismatist who's seen it up close says it's like holding a timeline of US mint history in your hand, the old bronze core from the past, the zinc technology of the present, the human error that slipped through, and the mechanical failures that led flaw upon flaw to create beauty through chaos. Even the color of the coin tells part of the story, with its surface showing subtle shifts from reddish copper tones to darker bronze hues depending on the lighting, a result of its unusual metallurgical blend and the slight heat variation during minting. Some even believe the coin might have been struck on a leftover experimental planchet prepared for testing new plating processes, adding yet another level of intrigue. Mint records from 1989 show that the Denver and Philadelphia facilities both conducted quality experiments to improve plating adhesion and metal consistency, so it's not entirely impossible that a test planchet could have been accidentally reintroduced into circulation stock, especially if mislabeled. If that's true, then this coin is not only a mint error but a tangible piece of experimental history. Collectors have long speculated that other examples might exist, but decades of searching have turned up nothing identical. A few coins with partial doubling or lamination have surfaced, but none share all the same characteristics. Last 2018 D1 cent USA coin, where we dive into the most fascinating, unbelievable, and jaw-dropping stories from the world of rare coins, where ordinary pocket change turns into multi-million-dollar treasures. And today's story is one that will absolutely blow your mind, because we are talking about a 2018 D1 cent coin, a modern penny struck at the Denver Mint, that somehow became worth an incredible $12 million. Yes, $12 million for a single 1-cent coin. And the reason behind this mind-boggling valuation is not just its age or rarity, but a series of extraordinary minting mistakes, mechanical errors, and 1 in a billion anomalies that transformed it from a common copper-plated zinc cent into one of the most mysterious and valuable coins in the history of the US Mint. A true modern marvel of imperfection that has captured the hearts and imaginations of collectors all over the world. And as we uncover the secrets of what makes this 2018 D1 cent so special, you'll begin to see how something so small and seemingly insignificant can hold such monumental value, not only in dollars but in history, craftsmanship, and the unpredictable beauty of human and machine error. The story of the 2018 D1 cent begins in the massive production halls of the Denver Mint, where billions of coins are produced each year under strict quality control and digital precision. But even in this modern age of robotic presses, laser alignment, and automated quality inspection, mistakes can still happen, and sometimes those mistakes are so rare, so perfectly aligned, that they create a numismatic masterpiece that defies logic and probability, and that's exactly what happened with this legendary penny. To understand why this 2018 D coin is worth $12 million, we have to look closely at every layer of its extraordinary creation, because this particular penny combines multiple distinct types of errors that are almost never found together, each one compounding the rarity of the other until the final result is something truly one of a kind. The first and most obvious error is the dramatic double die obverse, meaning that during the hubbing process, when the design was being impressed onto the die, it was struck twice but slightly misaligned between impressions, creating the effect of doubled details on the coin's face. When you look closely at this 2018 D cent, you can see clear doubling in the words "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and even in the date 2018, which appears almost shadowed, with a faint but distinct second image underneath each number. Lincoln's profile, especially around his eye and jawline, also shows subtle doubling, giving it a ghostly, almost three-dimensional appearance that instantly sets it apart from standard cents. Now, double die errors are well known among collectors, but what makes this one especially unique is how perfectly the doubling interacts with other errors on the coin, almost as if a series of mechanical failures occurred in precise succession, layering one mistake on top of another in a cascade of minting chaos that somehow created beauty out of disorder. The second major error is an off-center strike, where the coin blank, or planchette, was not properly centered between the dies during the striking process, resulting in a coin where part of the design is missing and the remaining image appears shifted toward one edge. In this 2018 D cent, the strike is off by nearly 15%, enough that part of Lincoln's shoulder and the rim on the right side are missing, while the opposite side has a wide, smooth border with no design at all, something that immediately catches the eye and adds tremendous value. But what's even stranger is that the mint mark D remains fully visible, perfectly preserved despite the misalignment, something that suggests the coin shifted between strikes rather than before them, meaning it may have been struck twice, once off-center and once corrected, a phenomenon known as a double strike, and sure enough, under magnification you can see faint outlines of a second impression slightly rotated from the first, confirming that this coin indeed experienced a rare double strike event. That alone would make it worth thousands, but the surprises continue, because when metallurgists tested this coin, they discovered something even more astonishing. The planchette itself was wrong. Instead of the standard copper-plated zinc composition used for pennies since 1982, this 2018 D cent was struck on a copper-nickel planchette intended for a dime, weighing approximately 2.3 grams instead of the usual 2.5. This off-metal error is incredibly rare in modern minting because each denomination's blanks are carefully sorted and machine-fed in sealed batches, making crossovers like this almost impossible, yet somehow, one slipped through. This means that this penny-sized coin was actually minted on the wrong metal, giving it a silvery tone rather than the usual reddish hue. And when you combine that with the doubling, off-center strike, and double strike anomalies, you get a coin so rare that experts say the odds of all these errors appearing together on one piece are less than 1 in 50 billion. It's as if the minting gods themselves decided to create a perfect storm of errors on a single coin, and it's this unbelievable convergence that made it so desirable to collectors. But the story gets even stranger when you look at the coin's reverse side. Instead of the crisp image of the Union shield that has adorned modern pennies since 2010, the reverse on this coin is faint and partially missing, with weakly struck details that suggest the dies were either heavily worn or misaligned during the strike. The lines of the shield blur together, and the inscription E pluribus unum appears partially faded, with the letters almost melting into the field, giving it an almost ghost-like appearance. What's more, under certain lighting, you can faintly see traces of another design underneath the shield, tiny outlines resembling the torch and olive branches of the dime design, fueling theories that the coin may have been struck on a misfed dime planchette that still carried microscopic remnants from an earlier strike, making this not only an off-metal but also a potential multi-design, transitional error, something that happens so rarely that even veteran mint workers have trouble believing it's real. Of course, when the coin was discovered, the disbelief was immediate. It was found in 2019 by a collector in Texas who had been sorting through rolls of newly circulated pennies, looking for doubled dies or die cracks to sell online. When he first saw the silvery tone of the coin, he assumed it was just a damaged or polished cent, but upon closer inspection, the off-center strike and doubling caught his attention. He weighed it, noticed it was lighter than normal, and decided to send it in for professional evaluation. The experts at PCGS were stunned. After multiple tests and comparisons, they confirmed that it was an authentic 2018 D-cent struck on a dime planchette, with multiple striking errors and a genuine double die obverse. The numismatic world erupted in excitement. Articles were written, YouTube videos made, and debates raged across collector forums about how this coin could even exist given the modern minting safeguards. But as always, where there's an impossible mistake, there's also a story. According to some mint insiders, during 2018 there were maintenance periods at the Denver Mint when blank feeders for dimes and cents were cleaned and recalibrated, and during those transitions, it's theoretically possible for a few wrong blanks to be caught in the feed system, waiting until normal operations resumed before being struck. If that's true, then this penny was born out of one of those fleeting moments when human timing and machine error perfectly aligned. The coin's uniqueness doesn't stop at its errors, though. It also carries striking visual characteristics that make it mesmerizing to look at. The doubling on Lincoln's portrait gives it an almost sculptural depth, the off-center strike adds a symmetry that feels artistic, and the metallic sheen from the copper-nickel composition reflects light in ways that no normal penny ever could, making it look almost like a tiny silver medallion rather than a copper cent. When it was first showcased at an auction, under bright lights, the coin shimmered with mixed tones of gold, silver, and rose depending on the angle, as though hinting at its dual identity between penny and dime. It's this combination of visual appeal, scientific mystery, and extreme rarity that pushed its value into the millions, and when it finally went under the hammer at a major coin auction, collectors from around the globe competed fiercely, driving the final sale price to $12 million, an amount that stunned even seasoned experts who had seen high-value error coins before but never anything quite like this.